Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Krista, how you doing today?
Saturday. I'm good. I'm really good, actually.
Good,
Saturday
good.
night.
And Saturday night. Saturday night's all right for a fight.
That's right.
We're not going to fight tonight,
Nah,
though. I don't know why that popped up.
me
That
either.
was weird. Yeah. Well, who knows what's going on in here? But hope your weekend is going good so far. It's been an interesting weekend for me so far. I work at a meat market, and we're starting to do Thanksgiving orders.
Oh,
And
yeah.
normally on Saturday we don't get a whole lot of calls, but today the phone was ringing off the hook. So
Worse.
it
Yeah.
was crazy.
So are people, well, let me ask you a question. Do people buy both turkey and ham for Thanksgiving?
We mostly turkey.
Yeah.
But we've had a few like spiral hams ordered, which, we do hams and roast beef along with the turkey dinners for that week of Thanksgiving. Other than that, we don't do anything else, just those three
Yeah.
things.
See, I'm not a big turkey eater, so like I always cook a ham. I
Yeah.
was asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
like turkey.
we have really good like spiral sliced hams and whole hams and stuff, and it's really good. But yeah, it's starting to get busy. Then we have deer season, and
Oh, yeah.
so next week is going to be normal for me. I should have the Tuesday show this week, but the following week I think I'm going to be not doing the Tuesday show at least until Thanksgiving, because I'll be working pretty much straight through till Thanksgiving. So
I understand.
so everybody just kind of hold off on that for now. And we'll see what hopefully after Thanksgiving things will calm down. But then again, we got Christmas right after that. So but
Yeah. So in other words, Paul, you won't be calmed down until after the first of the year.
right. And then
Until
I'll be
Easter,
sleeping.
and then everybody will want Easter hams.
Right. Then I'll be sleeping for a month. So I'll be sleeping all
Right.
of January. So, but or I'll be cashing in all the overtime that I had. So
There you go.
but
There you go.
but yeah.
Hello,
Hope everybody
everybody.
had
I just want to tell everybody hello, but my phone is on the charger because I'm hotspotting it tonight from a different place, so I can't really text in chat.
So she's not ignoring everybody. So she's
I'm not. I do see everybody saying.
Yeah. Hope everybody had a great Halloween. So here in St. Louis, we make kids tell jokes. I don't know if they do that around other places. I had one joke that I really liked. Name 3 cars that begin with P, that start with P.
A Porsche.
3 cars that start with P.
A Porsche, a Plymouth, and a Pontiac.
Those all start with gas.
Ha ha ha! Wah, wah, wah. That's pretty good. I like that too.
I like that one. So. But anyway, guys, we have a really cool show tonight. Jillie Maria is backstage, and she is back with us for the 3rd time, I think. So what we're going to do tonight, and we're going to bring Jillie up here in a second. Let's bring her up right now. She was dancing before.
I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. Hi, Jillie.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
You're making me hungry for Thanksgiving.
Oh, that tells you how short my memory is. I forgot what you're talking about.
Prime rib.
Oh, yeah. We have good prime ribs. Although my doctor told me now I can't have prime ribs anymore because they're too fat. So too fat.
Oh.
Occasionally I can do it, but anyway, how's everything going? We haven't talked to you in a little bit.
Things are going well. I'm starting to get into goals for 2025 and started my own podcast. And I'm trying to, as you know, doing a podcast is a lot of work behind the scenes. And so I am endeavoring to launch it in 2025. Yeah, I Love Your Weird with Jillie Maria is going well. And I am talking to dead people, and I get to be on here shows like this tonight. Reading dead people and talking to the Akashic records, and that's super fun. I love coming on here and reading people cold. It's one of my favorite things to do.
We love it. We love it too. I know you're definitely a fan favorite, and
Thanks.
People are all excited. And hell, I got 20 people in chat already. But okay, tonight what
Sorry,
we're gonna
guess
do,
who that was?
Who was that?
I said, sorry, guess who that was? That's why I took it. Only reason why I took it was Greg Ogles.
Oh, Greg. Awesome.
That called my phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
Anyway, I'll put you in later.
Boiled ribs and potatoes sound good right now. Roger, yeah, that does sound good. That does sound good.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So what we're going to do tonight, and I see one is already jumping in there. What we're going to do tonight is, if you guys would like a reading from Jillie, put something in the chat. I do, or read me, or something like that, in all caps, please, so we can star it, and we know what it is. Also, if you could put in just one question, because it takes up a lot of energy, and we don't want to drain Jillie tonight. So, all right, we have two already, so we're gonna let that roll for a little bit, and see if we can get a few more people ready to go. And actually, I know both of those people.
Actually, instead of saying "read me," put your question in all caps. That'd probably be the best.
In all caps. Yep.
Do that.
Okay. Yeah. So I have two. So Kyle and Michelle, you'll be the first two. So if you guys can quick send me your question, or send us the questions in the chat.
I'm starring. Are you seeing that?
I'm
starring as they're coming up.
I see that. You know how when you're at work and somebody in IT is taking control of your screen, that's kind of what that's like. How did that do that?
Do you want me to stop and you want to star, or what do you want to do?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just don't want to miss anybody.
Yeah. I mean, we could both hit it too. So, Sarah, if you could also send in a question, that way we can have the questions and everything. So,
and Jason's already got something in there.
Yep, Jason's got one. So let's talk about your podcast real quick while people are getting their questions in. Excuse me.
Sure.
So when are you going to be launching it? And do you have any specific day that you're going to have it on there?
Well, I've already launched it. I've got some episodes in there already. I just am in the space where I haven't been like super hyper promoting it, because I wanted to have more episodes in the queue. But you can find it anywhere you find podcasts. It's called I Love Your Weird with Jillie Maria. And my intention around it was to demystify people's weird, because I think a lot of when things happen like suicides, when people unalive themselves, when tragedy happens, we have a tendency to just zone in on like specific things, as opposed to backing up and realizing what made someone be in that space in the first place, where they felt so isolated, etc. And so I wanted to get to a space where I have conversations with people about whatever they think makes them weird. So it could be the person who quits their cushy government job and treks across the country for charity, over 3,000 miles walking. It could be the person who has pet rats. It could be the person who colors their hair weekly. It could be the person who's running 52 marathons for 52 weeks of the year. There's all kinds of things that, and a lot of information, a lot of things that, have made me just, that's interesting. I want to be in the space of that's really interesting. And I also want my audience to be, wow, that's relatable. Because I don't what makes me unique, I don't do a lot of editing. It's not live to tape, but it is not a lot of editing, because I think I feel like we're so AI, we're so filtered, we're so like trying to be perfect that we have our real life, which is flawed, and we screw up and we fail and we, fall on our faces, and things take quote unquote longer than we think they should. And we decide that we are failing against this, IG model or this YouTube model of perfection, and I like to demystify that some too, and to have it be the ums and the ahs and the oh crap and the whatever. Just be there, just we're human beings and we're on this planet, because one of the most common questions I get in the Akashic Records is, what is my purpose? And people feel like they have to have this grand falutin, like everybody's going to be Oprah or everybody's going to be, whatever famous person, as opposed to like, you're breathing, you're on purpose.
Yeah.
Like there's literally a 1 in 1.6 billion chance that you're actually created. That's literally science. And so to be in the space of like, you are a miracle because you're breathing. So whatever else is going on, I get it. We are in such a time of tumult right now. And like, holy crap, I feel like there's nothing left. I feel like my life's coming apart at the seams. I'm distraught, whatever. And if that's you and you're hearing this or you watch the replay, I want you to know that you're not alone. And I want you to know that we're all in this collective and also, the micro and the macro of like, so one of the things I want to share with you when I do readings is by being on this broadcast, you're giving me permission to be in your Akashic records. And for anyone that's unfamiliar, your Akashic records are a record of every thought, word, and deed of your soul since its inception. So the more specific a question you can ask, the better off we're going to be. And I make an effort to make sure that I'm clearing my energy constantly so that I'm reading your energy. And one of the things I was telling Paul earlier is I really love reading people cold because it's just, there's something magical when you don't know people from Adam and there's like a few people that might be on here that I know personally because I, shared the link and said, hey, come join. But there's also going to be people I don't know from Adam. And I love being able to share that magic because a lot of people are so like, I have to make things happen. And there's nothing beyond this. And I like to, give them that spark of like, oh, wait, wow. Okay.
And I know two of them that have asked questions already personally. And it would be really interesting to hear your responses to their questions, and we'll get to them in just a second. But first, I wanted to ask something about what's going on here. And I've told people in chat that I've had, since we got back from the Haunted Castle House in Brumley in mid-September, weird things have been happening here. Things have been actually flipping off sinks into like counters and into the sink. Can you get any kind of reading to know if there is anything, going on here that evil possibly that you can sense?
No evil. I when people have anything negative, that's really a judgment. But at the same time, it's like, if you have anything that's untoward, doesn't belong there, what I consider an entity, etc., I know that almost immediately because that energy like tanks my energy. Like I can feel like it go from like, we're going along, go and you're like, oh God. You did bring somebody with you.
I hope my wife isn't watching because she told me not to.
Well, here's the thing is when we go to places where, and energy is everywhere, energy is ever present. But when we go to places that are known to have activity, spirit activity, etc., and we're open to it, we have a tendency to, especially if we're empaths, we have a tendency to have tag-alongs, if you will.
Okay.
And a lot of times, the thing is, a lot of times is, people say, oh, do ghosts scare you? No. I mean, I see things every day. I hear things all the time. So for me, it's not, I'm so used to it now that I'm like, oh, okay. Like I will assume that it's somebody from, one of my relatives or somebody that I love or whatever, long before I will be like, oh, hey, there's someone on my roof. There's someone trying to break into my house. Yeah. I get literally like, that's the last thing I'm thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
So what can he do to, can he, or, remove this entity?
Oh yeah. Do you want to? I mean, do you want them to skedaddle?
I mean, I wouldn't mind it. I mean, it's nothing harmful so far, unless they throw something at me and hurt me. But I mean, nothing feels negative around the house. It's just,
they're just trying to get your
sink
attention.
stopper. Yeah. I mean, I don't need to get rid of it right away. I mean, eventually
it feels like a playful energy. It feels like a playful energy. Yeah. It feels like a young, it feels like 7 or 8 years old.
Oh, okay.
And just related to part of you and just felt like it would tag along.
I wonder, because at the Haunted Castle House, there was a little boy named Elijah that died, and that kept coming through on actually different shows there.
There was.
That's interesting.
And he's been seen in the upstairs bathroom, and oh yeah.
He was in my upstairs bathroom. Wow. Interesting.
So, when I ask if it's Elijah, I'm getting yes. And I just keep hearing, I like you. I like your energy.
Wow.
So is there a way like where we can take him back to the haunted castle house, or
we can just, I mean, if you want, I mean, honestly, when it's energy, you don't have to like escort them back like they're an actual human child. You can just be like, be gone and cut it and be like, return. What I normally will say is return to from whence you came, never to return to this reality ever again, is what I will say. And I'm not doing it right now. I'm just giving you the language that I would use to send somebody afar. But he doesn't, and I generally only do that unless people, one, specifically request it, like they're like, this freaks me out, it's got to go, I don't care anything about it. Or two, if there's a nefarious energy. He's not nefarious at all. He just is.
Yeah,
he's just a little kid.
Yeah, it seems like somebody that's just, like you said, when it gets my attention or something and stuff. So okay. Yeah. I feel better now. So, and if it happens again, or if it starts getting negative or starts feeling negative, then I'll take more drastic actions or something. So,
and honestly, he probably will just get bored and go back on his own. Yeah. A lot of times they'll just be like, "Gotta move on." Like we were talking about energy or splitting your energy. A lot of times when they're in the space, like a lot of times they do their thing and they're like, "Okay, you saw me and bye."
Yeah. He's probably like, "Oh, you're watching YouTube again, or are you're just going to bed and stuff?" Okay, we're done with you. So, but I don't live that. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Krista, do you have anything before we get going?
I asked her last time.
Okay. All right. So Kyle has one question here. Ignition Path from Goodnight BO. That's my cousin Kyle. He would like to know if his mom.
I think Kyle has a specific question.
Yep. He wants to know if his mom watches over his kids.
Definitely. Like that's almost making me teary-eyed. Yeah, definitely. She feels like she's really incredibly proud of them. Like I see like this like, yes, she's taking care of them. I'm actually seeing like a bubble, like it's like caretaking. That's what she's making a heart to say that she's always watching over them, always.
Hang on, I gotta text him real quick. He's watching now, so and I know he's losing it because I'm about to. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so Michelle has one. Michelle Kirkpatrick would like to know if my mother is, or how my mother is. Haven't felt her lately. Her mom died not too terribly long ago.
Mom is good. I'm feeling like I'm being pushed backward. Mom is making me feel like I'm hearing making the rounds. So I feel like there's somebody in your, either her circles or your circles who needs, the word she's using is upliftment, that needs her support and her attention. And so she's been over there helping them. She's saying that you're good. She said, I haven't forgotten about you. She's like, but she's showing me like pushing bikes, like pushing kids down the street on bikes. And one, like you're on the bike with no training wheels and the other kids are on the bike with the training wheels yet. So she's trying to like help them not fall. And you got this. So she's over here. She's saying not to worry. I'll be back.
Awesome.
Wow.
Michelle's a strong woman too. So she's one of my wife's best friends. So, so there. All right. Oop. Get that off. Jason Finch. And if anybody else, once again, if you want to have a reading, make sure you have all the, we're just doing one question. If you could put it in all caps so we can see it and tag it and get it on here. Jason Finch. Hey, Jillie Maria. I would love to hear from my loved ones, my grandpa and my grandma, if they have a message for him.
Okay.
And then he comments that I don't know if they are around when I need them.
Oh.
They're definitely around when you need them. I'm hearing, don't be afraid to speak to us out loud. it's not weird. They're actually showing me like they're like embracing you, like it's almost like a 3-way hug between them. I'm hearing they're safe and well together, and they're saying you don't have to worry about us. We're good. We're worried about you, but we know that you're all right. We know that you are safe and sound. They're also showing me a kid on a bike, like a BMX bike, and looks like he's trying to traverse rocky terrain. Like they're making a point of showing me rocky uphill terrain, and saying just go slow. And they're saying take the easy path. They're making me feel like there's like a literal rut on either side of this really rocky mountainous area. Like there's an easy path that you can take that's still uphill. It is still a climb, but it doesn't have to be as hard as you're making it, is what I'm hearing. I feel like, and again, they're asking him to ask for a sign, because they're making me feel like he is in a space of unbelief, and that he's in a space of doubt about himself and like where he's at in his life. Like it feels like it's shaky ground. And because they're showing me like a almost like a Bosu ball, where it's like he's trying to balance a lot of things at one time, and saying don't be afraid to say out loud, like I need to see, like show me a cardinal, or show me, whatever he needs to visually see as confirmation that they are right here. Because they're showing me like they're right here all the time with him. And they're saying they won't leave his side.
Jason's side? Wow.
Yeah.
And also after she does the reading, if what she says makes sense to you, please say, comment, feel free to comment on it. And we got that from Michelle. Thank you, Jillie. And Kyle's been texting me that he appreciates it. Actually, his mom never met his kids. And he's got some pretty awesome kids, I have to say. So anyway, I was going to say, have you ever done a reading and just not get a whole lot of response?
Yep. I have done readings where I have had like where they've showed me a black wall, which essentially is like the person is not open to hearing what needs to be said. I've also had times when I've had someone who is using, Facebook is Facebook, and people use whatever name they're going to use. And I've had to more than once say, hey, your records are like blocked for me. So what is a real name? Like you can message me privately. If you don't want your real name all over Facebook, you can certainly message me privately. And people have messaged me. And as soon as they tell me their real name, boom, it comes in. And, that does happen. And I have had people too, where the only thing I'll hear is like either a whisper or I did have someone ask a question once, and the answer was really like, and I said, this answer feels out of sequence to me. And so I waited for a minute, because sometimes if you've never spoken to your guides, it'd be like if you've ever dealt with a small child who doesn't know you from Adam, and you're like, come here. And they're like, I don't know you. Sometimes they're like, you don't believe me, or you've like, pushed me away or neglected. Sometimes they will. That's pretty rare. It's more likely that someone is in a space where they're not wanting to hear the answer. And there are times too, like when someone passes away and it's a recent passing, where the person hasn't crossed over to the point where they want to talk yet. That does happen as well. You will find things where if someone's left this plane in a nefarious way or in a sudden way, or there was someone a couple of years ago who it was a motorcycle versus vehicle accident, and it was very sudden and very like it was a drunk driver left the scene, whole bit thing, and the person immediately came through. A friend of mine reached out to me and said, hey, I know this is kind of an emergency. I really apologize, but tells me the whole thing and says, I need to know if they're okay, because this just happened like 48 hours ago. That is really, really rare. But as soon as they asked me the question, it was like, you need to investigate this. This is not okay. this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. And then, the spirit was going, how the hell am I here? Like you weren't in the space where you were supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives me chills even just talking about it again. But the person was like, that gives me massive amounts of relief, because I had in my head that this was not like what they're saying happened. And that will happen too, where like someone will hear information that they're like attached to, and then they'll ask me for a reading, and the information I get is a 180. And it's like, okay, well, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, got any more questions?
Yep. And again, I posted, if you have any more questions, please put it in all caps for all the newcomers coming in. Sarah, do you have any messages from my grandmas? I'm at the end of a big cycle and wondering if they have messages around what I'm moving into.
I'm hearing trust yourself, and then I'm also hearing one of them is yelling. And she doesn't typically yell, but she's standing up. She's standing on, and she's making sure that I'm saying this. She's standing on a chair, yelling at you to trust yourself. She's also showing me stepping off the chair, because she's making me feel like you are She's making me feel like you're in. She's telling you, she's taking a book. She's showing me you reading a book, and she's doing this and closing the book. She's making me feel like you're in story in your head about how things have to turn out and what's going to happen. And like you're not the author of the book. You're reading this book, having an expectation. And she's saying to you to step off the chair, like the fall. If you're on any given chair, for most, like the average chair, it's maybe 2 feet. When you step, if you jump down off a chair, it's most part maybe 2 feet. So she's telling you it's safe to jump. She's making me feel like you're in this. She's showing me like this, like your head and like all these scary goblins and darkness and like your like the animated version of like witches and like just this gnarly energy. And then she's showing me you sitting here in like blue sky, like everything is great, like you're sitting in a field, and she's saying, this doesn't have to be hard. She's saying, I love you. And it's the grandma who most recently passed away. She's saying, I love you. I'm here to support you. She's saying, allow yourself to step forward into this next chapter. And she keeps showing me you like shaking your head, like you're worried about other people and what they think and da-da-da. And she's also saying, like, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Because people, that it is scary to step into like, oh my God. But at the same time, she's saying you're stepping onto a new path and trust that.
Interesting.
I do have something if I can intervene, Paul.
Sure.
All right. So for the last year, my family has went through a lot of trauma. And I didn't know if my mom or my grandma might have a message regarding any of that.
They're showing me a pickaxe, like an axe. I'm hearing quit trying to cut ties. And they're showing me like you, and I don't know if it's necessarily you. Okay. They're telling me it is you. And they're making me feel like it's more figurative than, and metaphorical than it is literal you, for which apparently that matters. That feels like it matters. But it's like you're trying to cut ties with something that will naturally die off if you just step back from it.
Okay.
They're saying 2025 is a new beginning. They're also making me feel like, I'm also hearing everybody processes trauma differently, which is a universal truth that everybody needs to hear. Everybody processes trauma differently, even if we've gone through the same thing. They're showing me a prism, like a cut crystal prism, and they're saying everybody's going to see it from a different angle. None of them are wrong. And I'm also hearing you can't seek support you can't seek support from them who were in it. So it feels like there may be, like we can't be in the space of trying to almost like trauma bond. Like we can't grieve together. We've got to be in the space of like everybody has to handle it their own way. So there's, because now they're showing me offshoots of like this person might go to a counselor, this one might go to a trauma, like a trauma and emotion heal, like myself or somebody else. This one might see an actual therapist. This one might be dealing with it from an addiction standpoint where they need like Al-Anon, Narcanon, something else. This one might be like, hey, I just need anxiety meds. And none of that is wrong.
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you.
And also I'm hearing it's going to open up your gifts even more.
Wow.
Trauma does have a tendency, because a lot of times we ignore, like we're trying to be like, I don't want to deal with this. Like we're trying to have the breakthrough without the breakdown. And because we've had this thing in society where like, I've got to be strong and tough and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but your gifts aren't out there. Your gifts are underneath. And as you heal the anger and the resentment and the guilt and the shame and the grief and the trauma and all the things, as you start to heal those pieces and see glimmers of hope, it also brings up, which means it feels like you're going to, and I'm hearing you're going to get much, much more sensitive in 2025. And that sensitive doesn't necessarily mean like you're sobbing at, everything, whatever. It means that your gifts, your clairs are going to blossom and open up more. And so like if you're going on ghost hunts, or if you're like seeing things more, like you're going to get more vividness.
Wow.
And it especially feels like your third eye is going to, and they're saying, remember, you can control this, because they're showing me like putting their hand over their third eye, which means like you can be like, it's time for sleep. So if you're in a space where, and we can all do that, if we're in a space where we want our clairs closed, we can be like, closed.
Gotcha.
We don't have to use everything 24/7. Like human beings, we have to sleep, right? Same thing is true of our clairs. Like closed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So guys, if Blondes and Booze has an event, you're going to want to go next year. Just saying. Just saying. All right. I had something from Sarah. My grandma is so funny. Thank you so much, Jillie.
You're welcome.
Okay. Marcia would like to know if Edith B., my newfound grandma, has a message for me.
Excuse me. She would like to help you step forward into your new life with your permission. He says anything else there? I love a good confirmation ding. She's making me feel like you've been worried about, she's showing me a fork in the road, and she's making me feel like you've been worried about making the wrong decision, quote unquote. She's saying they're both the right decision for different reasons. She's also showing me someone trying on shoes. And I'm hearing someone saying, I would never wear these in real life, but they're fun to try on. So it's making me feel like there's choices that you might be in like you might, for kicks and giggles, entertain, just like to hear somebody out, as opposed to being like, that's not what I wanted to do. That's not what I was expecting, and shut it down, which we often do. We feel like, I don't even want to hear it, as opposed to like entertain it. Just shoes. You're just trying on shoes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Pam, one of our fine moderators. Do you sense if I have any gifts?
So this is always a fun question, Because here's the thing. We all have gifts. We all have intuition. We all have that gut sense. We just call it different things. I'm hearing that you're clairvoyant, but they're showing me this. So I'm being made to feel like you're afraid of opening your gifts. You're afraid to know. I'm hearing you're afraid to know what you stand for. And here's the thing is that one of the beautiful things about having gifts, I'm hearing that your two strongest are clairaudience and clairvoyance. And so here's the thing is your clairvoyance can come through. I feel it. So they're showing me like a sunrise, and they're also showing me like your third eye, like tiny bit open, and then like opening more. And here's the thing is you can come into your gifting at your pace. So we have this notion that it's all or nothing, and that's crap.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's also the space of, again, like you can shut it down. So like if you're in a space where, like I used to be a couple years ago, like I allowed my gifts to be open completely on Halloween. Mm-hmm. And knowing that the 31st and the 1st, the veil is very thin, and knowing that I was a medium, and holy, can I tell you what a long 24 hours that was? Like, oh my God. Holy, never doing that again, ever. And I mean, I had it controlled in the sense of like, I wanted nothing that was like nefarious, etc. But even then, as a medium, as an empath, as somebody who's in their gifts, like completely, it was just like constant, like it did not stop. And it's kind of like when you're trying to like as opposed to like turn off the hose, like you can't try to put the thing on the hose when the hose is like water's going crazy. And so I had to be in the space of like, take a breath. And I now am very particular about when I let my mediumship be open, and because it's really important that we take care of ourselves energetically. And a lot of times if we're an empath or if we are in our gifts, we have this weird sense in our brain, like we must do this or we must do that. And that's crap. Mm-hmm. Again, to be in the space of like, you get to control your gifts. So if you want to have your shingle out and be open 24/7, I mean, you can do it. It's going to be exhausting really fast. But I think there's nothing wrong with doing that once in your life to like for like 3 hours or something to know, because I tell people I play with it for an hour. And most people come back to me and they go, holy crap, I'm never doing that again.
Right.
That would be really interesting to experience. Maybe not me doing that, but experience someone doing that.
It's I will tell you that one of the most interesting experiences I ever had was not working, but I was at a crystal shop that's near my house. And there's a woman that came in, and I was, looked at, long story short, she was looking for selenite to anchor her house, to put protection around her house. And you are most welcome, Pamela. And I said, tell me more about what you're doing. And so she was telling me that her brother had just recently passed away, and that he owned a house that was old, and that they weren't sure what they were going to do with it, but it had been a hospital during the Civil War. Mm-hmm. And I said, that explains a lot. And she said, what's going on? I said, may I be in your energy? And she said, sure. Now I was already communicating with dead spirits. So I was like, what's going on here? Like, what in the world? And I said, do you mind if I clear you? And she said, no, not at all. And she, by the time we were done, had tears streaming down her face. And I had cleared over 250 between Confederate and Union soldiers. So all this energy and all these soldiers that had died on site of the house or in the hospital, quote unquote, were stuck to her. And I said, let's send them back to let's move them through to where they need to be. And the guy that owned the shop was like, what? And like, he was like just watching me and watching her. And I had my eyes closed most of the time. And I'm, you know, monitoring the energy and whatever, and getting her all the way through and whatever, and doing the thing. And I felt the last whoosh of like, it's gone. They're all cleared. Close it. Be done. We're done here. And so I opened my eyes for a second to take a deep breath. And she opened her eyes and she said, you just changed my life. And I said, how do you feel? And she said, so much lighter. And she said, I've been walking around with this for months now. She goes, we came here and my friend was like, do you want to stop at the flea market? And she said, sure, for kicks and giggles. Why not? We have an hour to kill. And she's like, you just changed my life. And I said, you know, that's one of the things I love most about doing this work, is that you never know what you're walking into.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I've learned to do too is that one of the things I can do is, because I've learned how not to do things, and I don't recommend learning it that way. I recommend being in the space of like taking care of your energy, minding energy ethics, and knowing what you want to handle and what you can handle. Because listen, not everybody can handle talking to dead people. Not everybody can handle like, you have to know how to move nefarious energies. I've definitely dealt with nefarious energies, and you have to know how to deal. Like, if you come into contact with somebody who is less than love, and most of us, if you've ever done it, you know it, you felt it, like, whoa, like, okay, I'm going to just go the other direction. But you got to know how to take care of yourself, and like how to like take that energetic shower so that you don't have energies following you. Because the thing is just like, a lot of people go, oh, well, you know, when I see some of the old house pages that I follow, and people are like, oh, that house is, there's definitely, you know, it's definitely haunted. I'm like, every house has energy if it was built yesterday or it was built 250 years ago. But the fact of the matter is, if we don't go back and handle those things, yes, if you're going into that house, whether you're ghost hunting or doing it. I mean, I know someone that went as an Airbnb, you know, they went for a romantic weekend, and she came back, she's like, something's wrong with me. I'm like, no, nothing's wrong with you. You just happen to be in your gifts, and you picked up a traveler. You want to have them go off at the next, you know, you want to get them off at the next stop.
Right. Wow.
Ooh. Oh, never mind. I just saw one thing. Anyway. Excuse me. Robert Perez. Do I have any spirits attached to me?
You do not have any spirits attached to you. You don't have any spirits attached to you, but you do keep trying to take something on that's not yours to handle or not your responsibility. And they're showing me this. So they're showing me like you've got a coat on or something, like a heavy something that's on your shoulders that you've taken on that's not yours. And they're showing me like shirking it, like let it go. It's not your responsibility.
I believe Robert is a paranormal investigator as well. I believe, if that's the one I'm thinking about. I think so. Riley Ron Ivy Forrest. When an oracle reader talks about it's your team or spirits, I wonder who are the team or spirits, and how many are there, or how many they are.
So when I talk about, like, when I refer to your guides, it's your Akashic Records guides. You also have, you know, and sometimes I'll interchange it and say it's your team, your spirit, you know, your guide team. It just depends. And honestly, who the team is depends entirely on the person. It is very unusual for people to have like grandparents or immediate past loved ones on their team, because a lot of times those people, like my grandma, as just using my grandma as an example, she's got 18 grandchildren. Wow. She's got like 5 kids, 18 grandchildren. I think we're up to 10 or 11 great grandchildren at this point. So she's got a lot of people. She's got to watch over. So just being on my team, and I'm good. So she's like, I got to watch over these little ones and whatever. It just depends. And again, each person is different as to how many guides they have. Some people have like a small team of, like 1 to 3, and some people have 5. And if you're like, just an example number, and like if you're going through a loss, for example, you may have a guide come in, or you might have like Archangel Michael or Archangel Raphael, depending upon what's going on in your life. You may have a archangel come in. Like a lot of people will have Mary Magdalene's energy come in when they're grieving a loss, because she's got very soft, motherly, like carry you energy. But yeah, so when I talk about when I'm in your records, which by the way, if you're on this broadcast, you're giving me permission to be in your records. I'm in touch with your team. And sometimes people, they just want to give you the message. And sometimes they'll identify like who they are. Like if you've got like a spicy guide, if you've got a guide that's like cussing like a mile a minute, some people do. Some people have a grandma that will be with them. But again, grandparents and family close to us, again, they tend to be watching over the whole family. So they're going to the person who needs them most. And again, they're energetic. So once you've crossed over your energy, you're an energy body. Mm-hmm. So you can split yourself at that point. And that was one of the things that when my grandma first passed away and I first, got in contact with her, that cracked me up, because she demonstrated to me constantly that she was in more than one place at a time. Mm-hmm. Like, wow. It was very important. Wow. It was very important to her that I know that she was like taffy and going here and going there. And I was like, okay, Grandma, I get it.
Awesome.
Talk about a second job. I mean,
right?
You're supposed to be resting when you pass on. Smurfy is next. Would be interesting to hear if there's any messages from my mother.
This is one of those places where Smurfy, since it's not, I'm assuming that's not what's on your driver's license. Let's see if we can connect.
I can picture him a little blue person.
Right? And it's sad that people that don't know, that when I tell people I don't care if someone's a Smurf, and they'll look at me like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, Jesus, now I'm old. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyway, digressing. Smurfy wants to know if there's any messages from his. I'm hearing believe in yourself. I'm hearing gut punch. Something feels like it was a gut punch. And she's saying it's real. I'm seeing a woman sitting at a kitchen table. She's playing cards or cutting cards. And this feels like it actually might be a grandma energy. It feels like maybe. But she's saying, listen, it's not that bad. I'm also seeing a punching bag. I'm seeing like punching a punching bag to get energy out, to get like frustration and anger out. Mother is saying to keep on going. You're almost there. I know it can be trying at times. It feels like there's a loss, because I'm feeling like a heaviness in my heart space. And I'm hearing you need to grieve that. I'm hearing to take a couple deep breaths. I'm right here with you. I'm not going anywhere. And I'm showing like both hands on the shoulders, like comforting you, like behind you, like you've got this, like helping you rally. I'm hearing you're almost there. It's almost over. And then I'm seeing a blue sky. So I feel like it's on whatever the thing, the something's going on that feels crunchy. It feels difficult. It feels heavy. And it's almost over. Hopefully that makes sense.
Murphy, if that makes sense, let us know.
I'm also hearing you're not alone. It feels like you're alone, but you're not alone. Not alone at all.
Granny coming through, then he's in deep. Yeah. Hopefully you're okay, Smurfy.
Yeah.
And I hear you about the grandmothers coming through. Candy has one. I would please like to ask my brother Stephen if he can forgive me for our traumatic past.
I'm seeing a hand and saying already forgiven. I'm hearing it's time for you to move on. And also I'm hearing get out of your head.
Well,
Do you find that often when people are asking questions like something similar to what Candy did, that once people pass on, it's kind of like forgiven or whatever, for lack of a better phrase there?
Well, here's the thing. Once we're passed on, and again, I don't have experience on that side of it except as a medium, but my experience talking to dead people is that they see things from an entirely different angle than we do as humans. We tend to beat the crap out of ourselves. We tend to ruminate. We tend to hold on to things. We tend to feel like we tend to get in grudgy ego space, for lack of a better way of saying it. And we tend to be like, that is an unforgivable thing. Yeah. And we also tend to be in a space where forgiveness for us as humans a lot of times feels like if I forgive it, I'm making it okay. Yeah. As opposed to, and I'll just share something, I've shared this publicly, so it's not like a bombshell for me or anything, but when I was working on forgiving my rapist, when I was working through that piece of my life, I remember my counselor saying to me, well, you don't have to, but what it's like is it's like the person who wronged you, like they've got a hook in your mouth, like you're a fish and you're being dragged around by your trauma, by the story. And so you have the power to be like, take the hook out and throw it. Mm-hmm. And it was like, you can just decide when you're done. And the fact of the matter is forgiveness doesn't have anything to do with absolution. Like I can be in the space of, and I tell people, I'm like, when people go, oh my God, they think that they've done something to me that's unforgivable. And I'm like, listen, I forgave my rapist. It took me a minute, but when I realized in my head that I was drinking poison, expecting him to die, and how much energy there was in my being like, I'm not forgiving you because if I forgive you, I'm making what you did okay.
Right.
When I got to the space where it was like, yeah, no, I'm in a space where I will never forget it, but the emotional charge is completely gone. And a lot of times, thank you. We never made up before he took his life. The last time we talked, it was a bad fight. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm seeing his head and I'm seeing a stack of books and I'm also seeing anvils between those books. It's like sky high. Like I cannot see the top of that stack. He had a lot of things weighing him down that he could not forgive himself for, like he couldn't get past. And I feel like the fact of the matter is that fight unearthed a lot of things for both of you. And there's an opportunity for you now and I'm hearing him saying, I wish I would have known and I wish I would have done it, meaning getting outside support to move through it, to get into a space of, and here's the thing, we can understand why someone did something. That doesn't make it okay. We can be like, yeah, I see that they had a lot of trauma and they had a lot of crap. And so they treated me like crap. They didn't know any better. That doesn't make it like, okay, now we're clapping and absolving them and it's good. No. But if we can be in the space of realizing, hey, I've got this hook in my mouth and it's just making me bleed and I'm being dragged all over Hell's Half Acre and it's making me be an ass to everybody breathing, as opposed to, and I'm not saying that you are, Candy, But then he's making me feel like he's saying no. He was clarifying and saying no. I was an ass to so many people, and yes, and he's making me feel like he's saying I couldn't see the light. I couldn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. He's saying I didn't want to die, but I didn't know what else to do. And he's making me feel like if he had lived, he's showing me darkness again. Like he's showing me like a little tiny bit of space and then darkness again. So he's making me feel like he would have passed away in some other way. He's saying mission complete. So he's making me feel like he was done on this earthly plane one way or the other. And he's making me feel like he keeps saying, I forgive you. He's saying there wasn't anything to forgive. He's also saying you were right. He's making me feel like you said a lot of things that you had been holding in for a very long time. And he's saying, he keeps saying you were right. You were right. You were right. And it wasn't even a matter that that necessarily made him wrong per se, but he's showing me you like vomiting a lot of like throwing up your guts verbally and making me feel like he's showing me a priest and he's making me feel like you get to forgive yourself. Like you get to choose to forgive yourself. He's like, I'm not mad at you. He's saying, go be, he's like showing me like releasing, like, go be happy. Go be happy.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good message.
I mean, that's got to be pretty darn tough to go through what Candy did. So, certainly Candy,
absolutely.
prayers to you and virtual hugs to you too.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Riley Ron, thank you for the answer. Are there people without any guides?
Not that I've encountered yet. I've never encountered. I've been doing this I've been doing it now for almost 11 years, and I have never, not to my knowledge.
Interesting. Interesting. And once again, I know this is pretty taxing on you, and we've gone about an hour so far. We have one more queued up question. If anybody, last couple minutes here, if anybody has any questions that they want to ask, please get them in here in the next few seconds.
Yeah. You're good.
So Sandy, I would like to know if my biological mom, who passed away when I was a baby, has anything to say.
She is. The first thing that came through, even as I was reading the question, was so proud of you. She's showing me like you growing up and saying that she's watched every step of the way. She's saying every step you've taken, blessed by God. I'm so proud to be your mother. I love you beyond words. She's also my throat feels really warm, so she's making me feel like you either have a book in you or you have either a book in you or she keeps saying book in you. She's making me feel like there's a book in you. So you need to either be right. If you're not writing, if you're not telling your story, if you're not saying the thing, like, definitely need to be. Definitely need to be.
Wow.
And Candy, thank you so much. That really resonated with me. You said some things that no one would know unless he told you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Cool.
And the first time I had you on, I know you had some things for me that you would have known So yeah, I mean, you're spot on. That's pretty awesome.
It's one of my favorite things. Like I said, I love reading people cold. One, because I love sharing the magic of this, and also because a lot of times getting that confirmation, getting that message, getting that clarity, knowing that you're loved, knowing that you are supported, knowing that you have people beyond you that are supporting you, that have always been with you and always are going to be with you, is really special. And a lot of times, it's there was a reading I did for somebody that was completely random, and about 2 years ago, and I was like, the person was like, thank you so much, thank you so much, thank you so much. And I found out probably about 6 or 7 months after we knew someone mutually, and the person said, do you remember reading for so and so? And I was like, oh God, I've read for so many people. And I said, I'm so sorry, the name is not ringing a bell. And I was like, and then I said, in person, because I rarely read in person. And they said, yeah. And I said, they're like, you told them such and such a thing. And I said, yes. And they said, you saved their life. And I said, what do you mean? And they said, well, they had been they felt like they basically were at the end of their rope and considering suicide. And they got a message from you that you had no way of knowing. And they got a message from you that made them feel like they were guided and protected. And they made some decisions shortly thereafter for their betterment of their life. And the person was like, I know for a fact that you saved their life.
Wow.
Wow.
It's like, that's the kind of thing you're like,
yeah, I bet.
because I just want to be here and be a channel and be able to support people. And, that's what I get to do in my yeah, it is. Thank you for saying that. It is amazing to help people reach their loved ones who passed away, and, give those messages and give people some sense of solace and peace. Because a lot of times, we feel like the last thing that we said or the last thing that we did, wasn't enough, or what, and I mean, I'll just share, when my grandpa passed away, I was a week shy of seeing him in person, and I beat the hell out of myself for a real long time because I hadn't seen him in a couple of years. And when I went up for his funeral, my grandma and I had a chance to talk, and she said, Grandpa didn't want anyone to see him the way that he was, because he wasn't the person that you remember. And the last time you saw him was the man he wanted you to remember him as. And I still get chills saying that, because I felt so many things about, I was, not there when I should have been, and blah, blah, blah. And I think we all go through that with loved ones when they've passed away. And being able to be in a space of like, another common question people say is, did they suffer? And, especially when there's an accident or something, and people say, did they suffer? And it's like, most of the time, like, they'll show me like instantaneous. Like, there was someone that was it's November 2024 now. This would have been the event would have happened in 2017, but the person found me in 2022 and said, this question has been bugging me. And I said, what's going on? And they said, well, there was a car accident. And they said car accident, and I got the whole thing. And I said, they didn't suffer. And I said, the person crossed the center. I said, the person crossed the center line, hit them head on, and they were gone instantly.
Wow.
And it was one of those things that was the person's biggest question, was they were terrified. I'm like, no, they were like, didn't even know. And I'm like, that's a way to die.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's a big thing that people want to know is, did they suffer? Are they okay? And I'm like, it was like instantaneous. And it's like, that person, like, the book was closed. That was one of those rare situations when, even though it was one of those things that really should not have happened, like the person was minding their own business driving down the road. But at the same time, it's one of those things that person had like done everything. Like, they had clean slate on leaving, which is pretty rare. But yeah.
It's pretty amazing that you told that story, because I have this question queued up. And you couldn't see this question before. Can she tell me if if she can feel their pain even when murdered. So it kind of went along the same lines as what you were just talking about.
Yeah. I can sometimes. I am not Claire, and I'm trying to remember which gift it is. It's not one of the common Claires. But I normally don't necessarily need to feel the physical pain, but I can definitely see it. Like I'm clairvoyant for other people. So a lot of times they'll show me like the accident or the thing that happened or the like events. I can definitely tell when something nefarious happened. I get cold chills. Like I'll get chills like up my spine or whatever, or my crown will tingle. I can tell when something nefarious happened. And people a lot of times will ask that question, say, you know, now they're not going to show me necessarily like in gut splitting detail. Cause usually it's like, I can tell when something happened, that was not okay. Like an unnatural way to go, if you will. But there are some people who will get really into the details, the minutia. Like if I was doing a private reading with someone and they're like, how did the person die? What happened? I need to know all those little details. But a lot of times people just will be like, you know that I passed away. Now, sometimes I will feel, it is rare, but sometimes people will say, because a lot of times too, we got to remember, a lot of times people are afraid to know. They won't ask certain questions because they're afraid of the answer. They're afraid to know that somebody suffered. They're afraid to know that someone is still in spin mode. And I'm like, if they're in what Christians call purgatory, if they're still spinning because they got amends to make, they got crap they got to clean up before they go on to the next realm. They a lot of times, like, you know, they won't necessarily, you know, you don't need to necessarily know those details. Now, I will say I had confirmation on something a couple of years ago where someone came to me and said, and I saw in the news that there was a murder investigation, and like the news had all the like some of the details that personally I don't think need to be shared with everybody personally. But I'm not in charge of that, so over there. But the person reached out to me and said, on someone else's recommendation, and said, hey, this happened, and I just want to know if you can tell me if what the police are telling me is correct.
Wow.
And the person that was departed, like a good solid 10 or 15 minutes of like details like this fast, like, and I just kind of sat there like, okay. And it's like it's like if you're in a machine that's like got like money and your job is to grab as much money as you can in like 2 minutes. That's sort of the thing, is like you're grabbing details because the person was talking like going so fast that it was like, I finally had to say, okay, what does this person need to know for their piece? Like what, because you can't necessarily say, there are some police departments that will work with psychics and like trusted mediums and that sort of thing. And like people that are like human bloodhounds. But I said, you know, if you're in a space of like, I know that this person, and they're like, well, how would you go about it? And I would say, find the person who like, in this case, it said, find the detective who you're talking to about the case and saying, I know my gut instinct is that this is not how this happened. Can you help me? Because this is my theory on what happened. And it eventually got solved. They eventually got a person. That person is now in jail, et cetera, et cetera. Because the criminal was a dummy. I mean,
aren't they all?
Well, I mean, this is like stupid in like to the nth degree. Like, yeah, like if you're gonna be in a space where like you're gonna do certain things, like just don't, you know, if you're gonna do something, you know, nefarious, you know, if you want to get caught, just do it in full view of cameras, and then just turn yourself in. Save everybody a lot of time. That's where I'll stop with that one. But yeah, it was one of those things that having someone reach out and say, you know, these are the details. It was all of the news, and like I need to know if that's really what happened. And I got instantly like, no, that's not what happened. And this is how I would angle the questions, and this is how I would approach it so that you get someone's attention.
Right.
Okay, are you good for 2 more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Lil Patty. Come on, there we go. Any messages for my brother Charles that passed?
I'm hearing the word aristocratic. He's saying, hold up your end of the deal, and that's it. You're done. He's saying that you've done all you can. He's also saying if the shoe fits, wear it. And he's saying he's pointing out not a literal shoe, but he's making me feel like he's also saying you're on the right track with something. He's showing me railroad tracks, and he's doing like this. So he's showing me like the path, and he's like straight ahead. He's saying don't deviate. He's showing me like distractions on either side of it, and he's showing me like don't deviate, keep going. And then he's snapping fingers. So he's showing me like in the blink of an eye, whatever's going on is gonna be resolved. He's saying absolutely resolved in your favor. He's saying don't worry about it. He's saying I love you very much. He's also saying thanks for the cookies.
Ooh, cookies.
He's saying thanks for the cookies. He's showing me like a tin of like Christmas cookies or something. He keeps saying thanks for the cookies. And he's saying the way you honored me was just perfect. Let me know if that makes sense to you.
Awesome. I haven't seen Little Patty in chat in a while, but hopefully that makes sense to her. We can get in touch with her and she can see it on the replay. But you all know how I like cookies. Anyway. Okay, guys. Last one, and again, Jillie, this has been fantastic. I know the viewers are loving it too. I'm enjoying it. So, cool hand. I'm feeling like I asked Jillie if my wife or my dad have anything they want me to know.
Okay. The wife is like this. She's saying I love you very much. She's saying it's okay to move forward. She's saying the way that you honor me is beautiful and magnificent. She's showing me like pushing you. And she's showing me like you've got your heels dug in. I'm not sure 100% what that's about, but she's showing me like she's pushing you and you've got your heels dug in. Dad, I'm also hearing girlfriend. Dad's got his arms crossed. He's got this little smirk on his face. And he's saying proud of you, son. And I'm seeing somebody with a pipe. Somebody like with a pipe like this. Like they've got a pipe and they're just kind of sitting off to the side, like just watching everything go down. this doesn't feel like your dad. This feels like it's a grandparent or a great grandparent, because it feels very past lifetime ish, past eras ish, like overalls, pipe. And I'm hearing all of your ancestors are supporting you with what's next, with next steps.
Cool Hand said it was his grandpa.
Okay. Yeah. He's he's got the pipe, and he's very much an observer. He's also saying proud of you, and he's a man of few words. He is saying, I hope you know how much I loved you, because I didn't talk all that much. He's saying he couldn't get in a word in edgewise, is making me feel like either your grandma or another woman when he was alive, like never shut up.
And hang on a second, I'm trying to get. I'm on the wrong thing. Come on, work. Okay, thank you, Shelly. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Awesome. So, I mean, Cool Hand said it was his grandpa, so that's
very cool.
Those are ours. And you never know, like, who's gonna, like, I can't force my mediumship, but it's always interesting how people will come through and how people will like show up with just the message that you need to hear. Oh, cool. You're welcome.
I love that smile too, by the way, when you got that.
It's it's always interesting, because I've had people say, like, I had someone say to me once upon a time, like, is that your opinion? I'm like, no, I just allow. And the more I've learned that the more I open my gifts and the more I allow myself to be a channel, and the more I just trust myself in the moment, like the more things open up for me. Yeah. And it just gives you some there was something a couple weeks ago. There was something that happened a couple weeks ago, and I saw it out of the corner of my eye, and I said, okay, who is that? What is that? And I heard just passing through, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And like some people, when they're first coming into their gifts, a lot of times, like they need like solids, like who was that? What do they mean? Like they need a full sentence, they need the whole book. And I've gotten to the point now where I see like that glimmer, or I see that little like thing off to the side, and I'm just in the space now of like, okay, cool, keep on moving. And but it's I love doing things like this where I get to give people messages, and I get to just it's such an honor and a privilege to be in my gifts. So yeah.
Gary Spikes, thank you so much.
Yeah.
5 more new members.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thank you, Shelly.
And thank you, Shelly. Yes, thank you guys. Jillie, thank you again so very much for coming on here. It's a lot of fun, and we can tell you love it so much. Love doing this, and that's why we keep having you come back. And the people in chat love it too. So you're very much appreciated here. I want to, if I can find it, I had it before. Oh, here I have it.
I absolutely love coming on with you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah, you do a great job.
Here is her website, except I spelt it wrong. Hang on a second, I'm getting it. There we go. Me and technology don't mesh too well.
You're not BFFs.
Good Lord, yes. Come on. I'll get it one of these. One of these one of these shows is going to be a flawless show. That. So there's her website. Go check her out. Jillie, you're fantastic. Again, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And I hope this didn't drain you too terribly much.
Not at all. I'm going to go run a marathon and have a dance party. And just kidding.
Wow. And I'm going to bed.
I'm not. I've got another show to do tonight.
You do have another show. So you're going to be on with BMR and Brandy. And is Monica going to be there too?
I believe Monica will be there too. Yeah, be tonight at 11 p.m. Central. I'm not sure. I never know until the last minute.
Yeah, those are the best shows.
I'm sort of monster.
Those are really good shows. Yeah. And usually the first few minutes of your shows are talking about food anyway. So late nights.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
late night
Yep.
chat, so
Yep. And then Donnie Cho
Um,
comes on in 7 minutes too.
yep, Donnie Cho in 7 minutes. So we're gonna have to get out of here so he can come on. Guys, thank you again very much in chat. Thank you, Shelly,
Yes.
for the donation,
Yes,
and
thank you.
thank you, Gary, for the members.
Yeah.
Appreciate it very, very much. So,
And thank you, Jillie. Appreciate
yes,
you.
Thank you for
thank you,
having me.
Jillie.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. And we will be in touch again. So, everybody, hope the rest of your weekend goes good. And we will see you, well, BMR and Donnie Cho later on. So, and I will see you on this show next Tuesday. I have no idea what we're doing next Tuesday or this coming Tuesday. So, whatever it is, join in. It'll be fun. So, everybody, have a great rest of your weekend. And we will talk to you later. See you guys.
See ya.
Bye.